So yeah, Eddie, you mentioned on the stage there that this is sold out a lot quicker than maybe people expected, and maybe you didn't expect it to sell out this quick. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I just think that sometimes you can let people dim your light. You know, you read the madness of Twitter and stuff like that, and the moans of people, and you make a fight and you think this is massive, and then you read a few people say, "Oh, I'm not sure this is that big," and you start to think, "Will it sell out?" And then you do it in 2 hours and you realise how big this fight is. Such a good fight for British boxing in a good time. I feel like we've been lacking a lot of these major events. So this is a great fight, and I think it's going to reignite a lot of British fighters to put themselves in those big fights.
You said about the criticism there. Your business partner Jake Paul was one of the people giving the criticism, saying, "Oh, none of the big fights are happening in the heavyweight." Is this almost proved him wrong in a sense, given look at the magnitude?
Yeah,
of
I
this
mean,
fight?
look, there's a load of fights that can still get made that I think people want to see. Fury Usyk, obviously one of them. But the fact that AJ's committed to that Deontay Wilder fight, he's prepared to fight Dillian Whyte in the interim. Usyk Dubois is a decent fight as well. I think you're starting to see some good heavyweight fights, and I think this is the best of them so far.
Dillian was on stage there speaking to us, and he said, "I'm not getting paid my value in this fight," and he sort of refused to go into specifics. But what are your assessments on that?
I think, look, because we could have done this in a stadium, but we're always planning to do it in the O2, I think both fighters are leaving some money at the table, but in the end it was like, this is the one I want, so whether I'm getting $1 million less than I should be getting or whatever, I want this fight, I believe I can win this fight. And this shows that when fighters want a specific fight, they find a way to make it happen. When fights don't happen, don't always look to blame the promoter or the trainer or the advisor. Blame the fighter. The fighter's the boss. AJ said to me, "I want to fight Dillian Whyte." Dillian Whyte's come out and said, "I'm going to fight this. I'm going to sign a contract." They made it happen. I'll take the credit. There wasn't me.
What do you make of Dillian asking you how AJ's balls taste?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you might find out when he's standing over you on August the 12th, but I've always had a lot of respect for Dillian. Sometimes he hasn't. I think a lot of people always feel like AJ is like my number one. And let's be honest, he is. We've had a great relationship. We're close as friends, and he's been a big part of British boxing's growth, Matchroom's growth. So, but it doesn't really matter whose balls taste like what. Those two were going to fight each other on August 12th and made the best man win.
I found it interesting that you sort of had a conversation with him about the rematch clause, and he was sort of like, "F that, I don't want it in there." What was that like?
It was madness. Like, AJ's had a rematch clause in every fight since the Dillian Whyte fight, first time. When you are a fighter of that magnitude, it's just standard. People moan about it. It's complete industry standard. And when you've got a Deontay Wilder fight for 50 or 60 million, it really makes sense to have a rematch clause in there. But he just said, take it out. I don't need a rematch clause. And I'm like, but that just put the pressure on Dillian to sign the contract. So I thought Dillian was bluffing. Then when AJ come out and said, take the rematch clause out, that was kind of like a bluff back to go, well, there you go. And then he signed it, and that's like a bluff back, and then AJ went, no problem. But in the end, no one was even bluffing. I just read it wrong.
Do you think that maybe surprised Dillian, the fact that AJ was willing to do no rematch?
Yeah. And I think it surprised AJ that Dillian signed for the deal.
I want to touch on this fight. I just theorise in sort of figures. Do you think this does bigger than a Fury and Ngannou exhibition thing, or do you think?
Yeah, in the UK for sure. Yeah. I mean, look, there's the I don't even know if it's curiosity, but the circus of a Fury and Ngannou fight, I'm sure it will do well, but it's not like. The problem is it's just not competitive at all. So what are you actually watching? Two guys sort of, and I think there's a little bit of momentum towards negativity towards Tyson Fury. People keep trying to get sound bites from me having a go at the Fury and Ngannou fight. I don't knock it. He's getting a load of money for an easy fight. But if he wanted true legacy and greatness in the sport, he would fight Alexander Usyk, and that was there for him, and he didn't want to do it. But at the same time, he's making a load of money for an easy fight, so good luck to him.
There's lots of calls for him to be stripped. Do you agree with those?
Not really. I mean, I think he should have a mandatory put on him. But I can't knock the decision. I knock it. I think it's bad for boxing that he's not fighting Usyk. I think it's bad for legacy. But each to their own. Can't knock a guy for making a load of money in an easy fight. So I don't think the public will like it, but.
Do you think this really doesn't help him in terms of the public, given that?
Does he care? I mean, I don't know. The only thing that's disappointed me a little bit is I like fighters to say, Like if he beats Alexander Usyk and becomes undisputed, he can go down as arguably the best heavyweight of the modern generation. That should mean something. And he was offered, I don't know, 70 or 80 million to do it. You think that would be enough, carry. But he's smart, Fury. If he thinks he can't win, he won't take the fight. So, who knows?
Finally, just lighten up. I sort of got lost in this. I was wondering, what is the actual basis of your feud with Oscar? Where does this come from? I think people sort of...
I don't even know. I mean, every time I've seen him, which is only a handful, he's so friendly. Cuddles, we should do more business together. And on social media, he just erupts all the time. So, I don't know.
Given that, does it make you laugh seeing like a sort of different side of
It's good, really. Like, you know, it's good for me in America because I guess there's a lot of people who still don't know who I am. So they're looking at it going, who's this guy? Follow me. You know. But he had a mare, you know, the show at the weekend just fell apart. I mean, their shows are awful. But he's still a legend. Like, he's a pound for pound great. Just because he was a tremendous fighter, don't mean he's a good promoter. I think he's good for the sport. Just no Eddie Hearn.